In this video, we will create our default project. You can also clone the series repository and start from the first branch if you want. There's going to be a link in the video description below. Once you open Defold, this is the first screen you'll see. If you've created some projects before, you're going to see them here in the recent projects tab. But because we haven't so far, we have nothing. So yeah, let's rectify that. If we go to new project, we can see a bunch of templates we can select to start our project. But also if you look close to from template, we've got some from tutorials. This is a great way to start learning Defold as well. They have some predefined tutorials. You can find them in the Defold website as well. If you like to learn by tinkering, this is a great way to do so. There's also some samples, and yeah, you can check them out if you want. But for this tutorial series, we're gonna be creating a project from an empty template. So the empty project template here. Let's go ahead and create our game. We're gonna name it Pong, but you feel free to name it whatever you want. Just be mindful of the location. Choose a location that suits you. And let's go ahead and create a new project. Once the project is created, this is the screen we'll see. So this is the actual default editor we're looking at. As you'll see, there are multiple panes off the bat, but to avoid overwhelming ourselves, we'll explain them as we use them. For now, in this video, we'll just do a bit of an overview of what the structure of a default project looks like. This is a pretty bare bones project template because we used the empty one. So there isn't much, but which is great. So we can start building our game as we see fit. Most of the settings, the game settings, are all in a file called game.project. So let's go ahead and have a look. And this is where we configure our game. All the configuration we're going to be setting. As you can see, there are configuration options for multiple platforms. So all the platforms we will be publishing our game in. This is where we configure pretty much everything. So the settings we're going to be using the most throughout the series are the project one. This is the one you're looking at right now. Also Bootstrap, which is where we tell Defold what's the initial collection that we load, and we'll look into collections in a little bit. But yeah, the other one is also display. This is one we'll be using soon, one of the next videos, where we will configure the width and the height of the game screen that we want. At the top of our folder, we also have the input folder. And this is where we will configure all the inputs supported by our game. Let's go ahead and check the input binding file. By default, we are mapping the left mouse button to a touch action. Again, we'll learn what actions are more in a bit, but this is, if you're familiar with default message passing, it's related. This is how we tell Defold that once a button 1 or a left click is captured, then Defold sends us a touch action. It's a message with a string that says touch. Once we start implementing the controls for our game, we will come and edit this file where we will map some keyword buttons to actions basically. Then we also have the main folder, which unsurprisingly is where we will be doing most of our work. For now, all we have is a file called main.collection, and yeah, let's talk a bit about what collections are. So collections are used to structure the game. Mainly, you can use them to create screens or game levels, for example. It's a bit abstract because they are quite flexible, but in our Pong game, we will be using them to create our game screen. We'll only have one, but you can also have like multiple collections and navigate between them. If you're interested in such functionality, let us know, and if there's enough interest, we can extend this tutorial series to add multiple screens and more functionality that you think is interesting. We will leave a link to the Defold manual where the building blocks of the game engine are explained in more detail. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested. It's definitely going to be quite helpful. And enough for the project overview. Let's start making our game. See you in the next one.